Welcome back. This is the second part of the VPN connectivity options that we have in Azure. In the previous video, I showed you how to establish a site-to-site connection between Azure and AWS and how to RDP into a AWS VM that does not have a public IP from Azure VM and how it worked seamlessly. Now we are going to talk about point-to-site in Azure or to Azure. So we are done with this. We don't need this anymore. Setup. So what we will be doing is I have this Azure VM and I'm going to remove the public IP of this VM also, and I will be using either my laptop or another Azure VM which has a public IP. I'll just log in. I want to log into this VM using the private IP of this VM. I don't want a public IP. So to do that, we use Azure's point to site, and point to site is nothing but a VPN connection from a single connection or a single point. So if you follow the how-to guides, a point to site connection can be achieved through different ways, and one of it is certificate based authentication. And I'll just do a quick walkthrough of how to create a point to site on the Azure portal. So this is how the finished product would look like. This is me, my laptop. Using a secure way, I'm going to connect to this gateway and I'll be accessing the resources inside this. So prerequisites, we need a virtual network, address space, subnet, and then a virtual network gateway. So it's just walking us through how to do that. So, and also the create VPN gateway. If you had seen my previous video, in that I've already created a virtual network. I have a subnet within which I have a gateway subnet, and then I've also created a virtual network gateway that is also ready. So pretty much everything is set and it's deployed in considering the time. So now all we need to do is the gateway is also ready. The next thing is to create the certificates, generate the root and child certificate, and this can only be done on a Windows 10 or a Windows 2016 machine. Generate and exporting the Windows point to site certificates. So it contains two: self-signed root cert and self-signed client cert. Root cert and client cert are also called as root cert and child cert. Okay, master like a public and private key. So something like that. So to do this, I will be using another Azure VM, which is point to site test VM, which is Windows machine. I'll just RDP into this. Connect. Okay, I've logged into this another Azure VM. From this VM, I will be connecting to the network which has a VPN using the private IP. So in order to do that, I need to generate the certificate, and to generate the certificate, I need a Windows machine. So that's what I'm here. That's why I'm inside this machine. Okay, so I'll just follow what is given in the documentation on how to create the certificate. To create a self-signed root cert, I copy this PowerShell script, go here, open PowerShell, paste it, hit enter. Yeah, got it. Now go and create a child cert. Again, come back, copy and paste it. The machine is slightly slow because I'm using a B for Bravo B series machine in Azure. So hit enter. Okay, both the root and child certificate are created. Now I need to export this certificates. to configure the VPN. Right, the certificate manager is open. I just generated 2 certificates. Must be listed here: P2S child, P2S root. Now let's export the root cert. Right click, export, next. Oops. So in case if you don't know what exactly to select and what exactly the steps are, no worries. Just go ahead and follow the instructions. Root cert, how to export it. Do not export the private key. Use base 64 and save it in a location. So do not export base 64, and I'll save it in the desktop. And give it a name as P2S root, and finish it. The export of root cert is complete. Now let's go ahead and export the child cert. Export. This time you have to export the private key for child cert. Leave everything as it is. Enable certificate privacy is also needed. And enter the password. I'll just give it as 1234. Only 1234. And save it in the desktop again. P2S child. Okay, save it and finish it. So we just created 2 certificates and we've exported the 2 certificates. You can actually see the symbol is different. The child cert has a key, and this is more of a like a lock. So, and this is in .cer format. This is in .pfx format. 2 different formats for 2 different certificates. Now I'll just open the root cert in a notepad to get the root key. Copy this, and now let's go back to the Azure portal. Go to the gateway. Open the gateway, and there's an option called point to site configuration. Just click on it, configure now, and paste, give it a name, P2S root cert. Paste what you just copied. And here is something called as address pool. The address pool is nothing but what is the IP range that must be assigned to the machines when they are connected on point to site. So I'll give it as 192.168 because it doesn't clash with 50 or 51 or even 49. So it's okay. So let this be a unique one. I'll save it. And now once it is saved, we can download the VPN client and give it to any user who needs to connect to this machine. So technically, to connect to a VPN from this machine to this gateway, we need 2 things. One is the child certificate that you just created with the password, and then the VPN client file. So if I am, like now that I'm testing this here, I'll have to install the child cert. Next. Enter the password. Next, finish. And yes, I want to install the child cert. So now the child certificate is injected into this server. Likewise, I can just copy this child cert and give it to anybody I want. They can install it in their machine without a problem. It's a PFX file, so there shouldn't be any problem in installing it on the any other operating system as well, as far as I'm aware. So give this child cert and then give them the VPN configuration file once it is saved. So if you install this VPN client on any machine that has the child cert installed, you can connect to this VPN network. So let's see how that works. It's still getting saved. And guys, in case if you're using a Linux or a Macintosh, this method wouldn't work. Maybe this would work, but you should not be using the basics queue. I'm using a virtual network gateway that is the cheapest one available. So you should not be using basic SKU if you wish to connect from a Mac or a Linux, which is exactly why instead of connecting from my machine, I have created a Azure VM, a test VM, which is Windows, and I'm trying to connect from this test VM to another Azure VM which does not have a public IP. So instead of directly connecting testing the VPN by connecting to this machine, because I'm using a basic SKU, I am connecting to this test VM first, and from the test VM I'm going to test the point to site VPN connection. So yep, the virtual network gateway is saved. Go to point to site configuration and download the VPN client. So it takes few minutes for the download. All we need to do is just move this file from the VM, the server, the machine in which you're downloading this. So usually what I do is I save a copy of this VPN client and the child cert, and then I give it to whoever it is supposed to be given. So I'm saving. Let me save this first. Okay. Copy. Yeah. So now you can actually see that I need two things for connecting a VPN. One is the child cert I've already installed, and now I'll just extract the contents of this zip file that I just copied. Install the 64-bit client. Okay, it's installed. Now, as you would normally connect on a VPN, just click on it and you can see the VPN network name is here. Click and click connect. It will check if the child cert, password, everything is matching. If it does, it will. Okay, so you can see it's connected. I'm connected to the VPN. Now let me see if I can access the Azure Windows VM, which does not have a public IP, using its private IP. (50.0.0.4). Okay, so because I've installed the VPN client, something has changed within this machine and I lost the connection. So the easiest thing that I can do is just disconnect the VPN again by restarting the server. Oh, okay, so the VM has stopped because maybe the auto shutdown was enabled. Yeah, so 7 p.m. UTC. It is 7 p.m. UTC. So now that's why the VM is shut down. So just start the VM, and once it fires up RDP, and from this test VM connect to this Windows VM on 50.0.0.4. So see, things may not go as you would want it all the time. It can actually fail. It can have some connectivity issues like we saw in site to site as well as this one. I didn't realize that the VM is going to be shut down, so good that I just checked it instead of troubleshooting something else. Okay, so go and connect now. Perfect. There we go. Back to the same machine that automatically got restarted because of the setting that I had connected or given. Right, I'll again go back and connect to the VPN. Each time the machine gets restarted or shut down, the VPN connectivity loses. Right, I'll connect to the VPN from Azure VM that has public IP, and once it is connected, I will try to RDP into 50004. Yep, it's working. Right, all right. So again, we are back to how it was. Instead of AWS VM, okay, now that I'm in 5000, you can actually see a machine within a machine and a machine within a machine. So it's basically there are 4 or 5 VMs now, right? So I'm connected to a Azure VM. I'm on my Mac. I'm connected to a Azure VM that has a public IP, but there is a point to site connection from this machine that has a public IP to 50004, and there is a site to site connection from 50004 to 5100216. Okay, so these two machines are using site to site, and these two machines are on point to site. To put a pictorial representation of 1, 2, 3, 4 machines, so what I have done is, this is me. Okay, I'm sitting in somewhere in the world, and I'm just with my incompatible or not compatible operating system. From here in Azure, we have 2 VPC, and this is one Windows VM, and here I have one more Windows VM and a gateway, VPN gateway. Let's keep it like this. This is VPN gateway. On the other side, we have AWS, VPC, VM, VPC gateway, and customer gateway. And this is the local gateway. So now what has happened is, from my machine, I've connected to this machine on public IP. From this machine, I've connected to the VPN gateway, and I've taken a control. And from this machine, and this is what is happening. Okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So now we have 4 machines: Mac to 104, 104 to 50, 50 to 51. So from Mac to 104 is public IP, 104 to 50 is point to site using private IP, 50 to 51 is through site to site using private IP again. So I hope this kind of challenges your brain. Seeing too many windows, everything running Windows. You can see I'm working on an AWS machine now. I'm able to open the RDP, I'm able to open the server manager inside the AWS machine, and once I'm done with my work, I can close it. I'm on a Windows machine that is on Azure, again on private IP. I'm working on it now, and once I'm done, I just close it. I'm back to my jump box or a Bastion machine which has a public IP. Once I'm done with my work, I'm going to shut it down. So, and that's it. I'm back to my source machine. So this is a simple but an interesting setup that we can actually play around with to learn about VPN. So please do watch both the videos. First one is explaining site to site. The second one is about point to site. Practice it twice, thrice, and then you will be able to get it right the first time after that. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment or message me. Take care.